very high.
What? What card?
The second card, like I'm pretty sure it was an ace. I'm pretty sure the ace of clubs was the second card. But it might have been a 2 or it might have been a 3. But I'd like.
Okay,
like,
curious situation here where Greenwood is obviously
like
being
flashed
sporting
extremely high.
in suggesting
his
that he caught a
second card.
glimpse of Huang Wenji's second card.
And this might be strange because I'm not sure Huang knows which card he's meant to expose right now. He's just done a double check and doesn't have the card Greenwood thought he saw.
Right.
Hey,
Okay, it is a little bit curious, however, because if one were to make the habit of suggesting that they saw a player's card and then force them into,
You have really good
you know,
Yeah.
having to flip it up,
I thought
that
it
would
was an
also
ace
be a little bit
spotter, it was a
awkward.
How
3.
do you fucking confuse a no spotter with the like 3-sider of clubs?
Hey, I got the suit.
Bro, I gotta take you with me to Baccarat. I'm gonna teach you some lessons. What a Baccarat fish.
I was just
It's
trying
a
to
fair
help
point,
him.
Ali. I mean,
Yeah.
What a Baccarat fish.
of course the other players would have to agree that the card lifted in some way. Maybe they didn't catch a glimpse, but
I didn't have a good hand on my
Well,
way.
Hopkins got a lot more than a glimpse at this
Moving up
ace
there,
jack, which is why he's got 2.3 in the middle. But Suvarna with pocket tens is ready for a spin. And obviously Barbero already doubled, but Hopkins was hoping that this would not be a situation he found himself in
I was gonna violin this hand too against you, Santos.
prior to capturing a pay ladder.
You're
A
better
dog
than
by
64.
14% in a 5 million chip pot with help needed and unfound. Overpair for Suvarna performing excellently. And now serving as blockers to a straight. We take the jacks off the board and replace them with the 2 remaining 10s. Hopkins losing an out. Might he be winning the pot, though? 5 ways to do it, and that ain't one of them. So GGs
I was busting.
are issued to Australia's James Hopkins,
4-6.
who can ascend
Yeah.
no further than 9th place. $570,000 will be going to James.
I was gonna bust. Wow.
It's so true. You never really expect the ace-queen offsuit to be in the snapper category versus a Boyka 4 million. You just think you're dead.
yeah. Santos knew the play there. Do think ace-queen has to run it. 15 blinds or so.
I'm not following.
What is this? Nacho advising Clement that he's not going to fold.
Fairly straightforward piece of knowledge that I think Clement's aware of. These chips still have to go in with King 10 unopened.
Very much don't have to go in with Jack 3 offsuit as we await Boyka's mug.
Yeah, I don't think there's much we accomplish by trying to get involved here as Boyka. Best chance of getting Dang out of here doesn't necessarily involve entering the pot, but
Oh, wow.
he does decide to just
I'm
peel,
really
hoping Nacho's just going to allow it.
I mean, I know it's just 425, not even a min raise, but when you do flat here, it's not as though you're screaming the sort of strength that's going to prevent Barbero from maybe bullying you out.
Yeah, with King 10 suited, though, we see just a flat from Barbero, so maybe a sign that this call from Boyka is going to perform pretty well. Seems like an indication that he's happy to check this one down pretty often.
King Jack 8, by the way, the side is dry. Boyka with a taste. Middle pair, but he's up against top pair in 2 spots as the main pot of 1.5 million is complete. Alex checks over to Nacho.
And I think it's time for Nacho to bet. In a worst-case scenario where King 10 is somehow not the best hand right now, Clement's going to bust as well on this hand, right? I mean, in what world does Boyka have King 10 beat right now and Clement has both of you beat? It's so uncommon.
400K.
And the Jack is in an awkward spot. I mean, Nacho could be employing the same logic with a pair of 8s.
I mean, it's just a hand that plays so poorly post-flop. I think that's also one of the reasons that I felt as though Boyka wouldn't really look to play it out of position potentially against Nacho.
I think it's a play that, you know, if Boyka had a lot of chips starting this hand, it's justifiable. Nacho a little more handcuffed, but Boyka's in 5th, 6th right now. Like, this is a risky proposition.
Well, credit to him for stepping out of the way. As Barbero this time enjoys the free roll with 1 diamond on board. But 𝐿 rates to carve one up again, and oh my, Boyka would have had 3 jacks. Yikes.
No way. Really?
Nacho, I think, surprised he folded the jack to just 1 bet.
It's so complicated that format. Even I haven't studied mystery bounties, so I fucked it up pretty bad. No, pretty bad, no, but fucked it up. But on open small blind call, and I shove king jack 25 big blind.
Suited ace for 𝐿, probably going to think this is good enough. Just 2 more free hands for him before the blinds come around.
Such an above average holding.
All in.
All in declared. 3 bigs. 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞 in the big, by the way. So were it not for Suvarna, who we have to imagine is going to be hopping in before him, Hwang likely would have been a customer with almost any 2. Santosh flats.
Yeah, just
pocket
calling.
5s.
And maybe giving a chance for Hwang to see the flop with pocket 5s. I thought Santosh might have considered a small 3-bet as well for the strength of his hand, but now going 3 ways, 2 of the big stacks at the table.
Well, again, an opportunity potentially for 𝐿 to find a triple up. Obviously a big dog to do that, though the 8-5-4 board gives him the Broadway gutty and backdoor diamonds, while it gives 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞 middle set. Nothing on the burner for Suvarna. Main pot of 2.5 million is complete. Santosh, no appetite for a barrel. Into a dry side.
And with a set, not much incentive to slow play. We do sort of need to play honest in these situations with our overall range, and I think Santosh will recognize that it's not a lot of hands ace-jack can beat right now. The concern might be that, you know, have we allowed the big blind in with just a low connected hand that made a pair of 5s or a pair of 4s, and we have equity, but does just get away.
900K into the Kalahari. Santosh quickly folding, and now 𝐿 realizes that feathered friends need to pay a visit to this board for the time being to put him in front of a set. Does something avian lurk? Not on the turn, but note that a chop, if a 7 rolls off, is now another way to go about things. And 1 pair of aces isn't going to cut it. So 𝐿 did get some sweat, but in the end, unable to knock off the set of 5s. You know.
Thanks for sharing.
Yes, thank you indeed,
He
Smokey.
raised before, sure, the 10.
Alexis, Vatican City.
No, but
Farhang, Iran.
he raises. Dan for
Mark in Botswana. Come on, guys, for real?
And Dan.
So really the 3 places you 3 are streaming from?
Oh, and
Another
couple of
for
8s.
𝐾𝐨𝐧'𝐭, and yes, the Snowmen.
Oh boy.
Bowing out, but Barbero's not going to have an exit available to him this time. Surely. Ace, king of hearts. The proposition so different. The interfering properties, the domination, the raw value. It all comes together. And Nacho's going to be so demoralized because he knows the jungle with the ball stack is going to be opening a wider range than this.
Wow. Wow.
And maybe the silencer is upon us.
Yeah, it's with the full frost.
I feel like I'm winning it though.
Has the Argentine
At the moment, I'm drawing that.
been muzzled by Jungle?
And never how.
Looking that way on the Queen 3 deuce board. One heart lurks.
Ten of hearts. Did you guys?
And it's a wrap.
Sorry, not Joe.
Nacho drawn dead.
That guy played so many cards on the tour and they gave him.
Stone cooler. 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐜𝐫𝐿 there.
Like, he really had a lot of.
Comfort him. And some, Kevin, would be of the mindset that 3 hours removed from their delivery, these now quite cold chicken fingers that are staring me down, you know, would be an ill-fated decision in terms of foodborne illnesses and whatnot. But, you know, I've gone on record as saying this. I do feel like I have the GI tract of a mako shark, and so I'm not really concerned. And at some point, I'm going to revisit these fingers as Martirosian paying a visit to the King 10 of spades. 5.4 rip. Boyka covered, ace-jack off.
And if you're Boyka, this is the exact player at the table you want to win chips from. Ace-queen plus, maybe taking a different route.
He did not even burn a time bank. Clicks, calls, Suvarna out of the way. And Boyka performing very well. As you pointed out, Kevin, the exact player you want to win the chips from, because if you do, you put him at the bottom of the leaderboard. 3-2 favorite. Queen 10-4. And all of a sudden, Martirosian the favorite. Boyka in need of some help. It could come in king form. Ace or jack also would be of service in an over 7 million chip pot, where the flush draw is of no concern. On the turn, an added path as we swap the jacks for eights. Can Boyka connect? No, it's running nines. And he took a spot that really was the one he was dreaming of in terms of a double potentially through Martirosian with the best of it, but the 3-2 favorite does fall, and Artur will bring the remainder of the field to another pay ladder to a champion as well before we begin the pot limit Omaha and then the short deck portions of this festival. Artur, ace king, trying to work his way off of the short stack designation. Oh, Greenwood with an ace king of his own.
And certainly a hand that wants to put chips in. Playing 40 big blinds effective. Choosing the right size. Such a large consideration for these players. We're balancing the stack depth of Martirosian and recognizing how we want to play our range against that, but also Kate's covering in the big blind.
3 bets to 1.9. I don't think we're done just yet.
Yeah, once the ace-10 suited of Jungle Man gets out of the way, how can these two hands not put the chips in and run it?
There's the jam. And these two guys looking up, recognizing that the edge is ever so slightly in favor of Greenwood, who has diamond coverage. Clubs and hearts clean for one another. Somewhat anticlimactic, although maybe that's the commentator's curse. In a 15.7 million chip pot, blame this one on me if it does something other than chop, which it will never do on a Jack-Jack-5 rainbow flop. Turn and river will be of no consequence, as you see the running queens. Ace-king. Martirosian in the cutoff. First to speak.
Only 8.5 blinds. Don't think we can min-raise.
Yeah, Jungle did fold under the gun, so apologies. Second to speak, but speak he does. Ace-9 suited for Suvarna.
Ooh.
How well does this combo perform against the open jamming range?
I mean, not bad, I think. Ace-8 offsuit at least is going to be all in here for Arthur. A lot of Broadway cards, not even necessarily suited.
And Suvarna's done Sam Greenwood a huge favor by flatting as the fold becomes very straightforward for Sam, who was dominated as well. And Suvarna disheartened, of course, by the sight of a dominant ace, as his choice in part responsible for the 7.7 million in the middle, which is leaning towards Arthur. And it stays in that direction, although the gut shot straight draw for Suvarna, 6 or a 9, would bring the pain. 3 on the turn. Suvarna very openly rooting for Arthur's demise. But not getting it, as the ace-king hangs on. Nervy moments there for both parties' rails. So Arthur is going to double into a far more comfortable 19 bigs, let's call it, while Suvarna is now flirting with shortest stack honors, just a couple of blinds north of Martirosyan.
Nice execution from Martirosyan.
$800.
Pocket jacks now. Coach clicks. Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐜𝐫𝐿, the covering stack with Cowboys here.
Just the next hand after we get Santosh down to 8 big blinds. Effective chip leader in a position to bully the medium stack. And we actually have it.
Yeah, but as you point out, this landscape is dynamic, and it has shifted since the last altercation between these two. Not lost on Greenwood as he faces the extra 2 million. Is he going to be more inclined to get further into this one, Pre?
He's going to call or he's going to jam, and I think a deciding factor for Greenwood is,
All in.
does 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐜𝐫𝐿 have pocket 10s or ace-queen suited, these kind of hands that we have an advantage against? He decides yes, but...
Yeah, he rips and just runs into it here, Kevin, and you can't really get critical of his choice, even though one could argue that Suvarna sitting there 8 big blinds suggests that Sam should always look to avoid finding himself in a situation such as this, but 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐜's range was wide enough in this spot, and Greenwood was high enough up in his own that he felt like this was the best path forward. Unfortunately, as we can see, it's a disastrous one with 21.25 million in the middle and 864 as well. Greenwood is pulling at a hook. Doesn't say hello on the turn. And his coach going to be able to draw up Jacob on the river to keep his seat and leave Wenji Huang breathless. No. And man, nobody is more excited at this unexpected cooler than Santosh Suvarna, who secures the over $450,000 ladder from 5th to 4th. And coach, perhaps left to be haunted by what could have been.
Jungle Man was one of those guys at the very, very top. Really, really excellent heads-up player. Is it too early for me to be dreaming about watching him play heads-up on the big stage? Because I'm excited for that chance.
Far be it from me to stand between you, Kevin, and your dreams. I don't think it's premature whatsoever. I do think, however, that the other camps that are out there cheering their men on might have something to say about your choice, but it's a very understandable one, as is Suvarna's here with the pocket threes. He's ripped the 2.9, path cleared by the departure of Greenwood and the presence of just 8 bigs. Wenji Huang, might he be claiming yet another pelt? Suvarna ever so slightly in the lead, about as close to a pure coin flip as you're going to get in an all-in collision. 6.8 million chip pot. Eight tray 9. It's second pair versus bottom set. And Suvarna performing very well here. Will there be a sweat? Yes, there will. Time and draw acquisition. A wrap at the back door. Premature maybe was that fist bump, though I think the ace of hearts had been revealed already. So Suvarna finds himself the double. To be expected, maybe. You know what would be extra creepy is if there's a guy who just shows up to Hooters every day, ponies up to the bar, and orders nothing more than a water. You know, I mean, that, I suppose that could happen. Maybe you got to charge a cover. Meanwhile, Suvarna charging a little over 3 million with 10-7 offsuit of the King 5.
And I think this has to go in. It's 6 big blinds. We've got a king.
Is. Fortunate to have 2 clean cards. Is Suvarna. And even more fortunate, of course, is Wang Wenji to have the boss stack, where regardless of what happens in this pot, he'll fight on, sitting deep. And on the 10-3 deuce board, Suvarna hops way in front. Oh my goodness. Prayers answered on the rail. You see the applause breaking out as a king rolls right off on the turn and now puts the pressure right back on Suvarna, who needs the hockey stick or the 10. Can he make 2 pair or trips to fight on? No. So GG's Santoshi.
Looks like you are the king.
Lucky poker.
With that pot now equal with Dan Cates. Both players on 18 million.
Pretty disappointing, by the way, for Jungle, who was feeling like maybe Artur was headed for clear-cut short stack territory. Here he is with Jack 10 suited, limping against Huang. Pocket 5s. Increasing the price of admission. And now Artur with enough chips to get in there for an extra 1-4.
Jack 10 suited, quite a strong hand to have limped in the first place. We're at least calling, and I don't think our hand's good enough to do anything more.
$10-5 trade top pair and a spade draw versus middle set. We pull the pin in a grenade.
If Huang Wenji bets this flop, I mean, how does the money not go in?
4.6 in the middle. 16 million effective. $2 million.
This size reasonable, looking for the texture. Meant to deny equity.
Does Artur ever think this hand is so strong that I don't want to announce myself here?
It's certainly possible, and for Huang to have raised pre-flop and to love his hand on this flop, we're not necessarily thinking this is a worse 10. Even a hand like pocket eights in the face of a check raise, maybe not fast playing for all of it, so.
This is a very potentially merciful arrival on this turn.
Yeah.
Brought on by the fact that Artur was willing to simply check call an unpleasant ace. Not the actual cause for concern for Martirosyan, but one that is going to leave him respectful of further barrels.
Yeah, it's another suspicious looking card to see multiple bets on. And Huang's going big.
6 million was the announcement. Into 8.6. Three-quarter pot territory, shy of it.
Artur has to decide how many ace-high hands would bet 2 million on the flop. Not necessarily expecting to extract value for that size.
Well, he does interfere with some of the ace-x of spade combos, although those that come together to provide the wheel draw, ace-deuce, ace-4, which could be a part of Huang Wenji's pre-flop raising range, maybe would barrel that flop and then find the extra barrel with top pair. Martirosyan calling. Wenji loves to see this, although the two-tone texture is something that does weigh on his mind. No longer a concern, however, on this river that pairs the three and gives him a boat. Third and final check from Martirosyan, who plays tens and trays with an ace kicker. The spade he sought eludes him. 20 million plus in the middle. Sub 0.5 SPR.
It's going to be so hard once we've invested this many chips and we get the cleanest of all rivers to release a flop top pair that didn't fast play. This is so under-repped, reminding me of the ace-9 that Artur felt obligated to call down earlier against Jungleman's king-4.
There's the all-in from Wenji. Now, in terms of the hands that we beat, Kevin, I'm looking at the king, queen, and jack-x of diamonds as candidates.
Yeah, and even, let's not forget, pre-flop bluffs, very possible for the chip leader in position against a limp. What about 9-4 offsuit? I mean, there's total trash that picks up equity on the ace, tries to represent the big card.
And when I said king, queen, jack, x, I meant combinations and permutations of those three cards specifically, not with some sort of dangler where we would have the inside straight flush draw and maybe continued incentive to barrel, representing the ace and having tons of equity. That's got to be on Martirosyan's mind. All of those combos are free and available to the opposition. If he clicks call, he's out of here. But only we know that. Pot laying him shy of 4-1. Disregard the 44.7 figure, as not all the full 24 million is actually in play. It's a jam of 8 mil.
Artur's thinking through every detail that came through in this hand, and also while he uses this time paying attention to his opponent, trying to figure out if he can see anything.
Wenji's bluffed on more than one occasion tonight. Artur clicks call, and in doing so, he's been eliminated.
𝐿𝐮𝐬𝐜𝐫𝐢.
Almost got away by check calling the flop, but such a huge hand, really just a cooler from the start. Both players, by the way, coming with
All in.
what seems like a similar understanding.
Oh, Jack-9 offsuit blast for 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐭. Wenji takes his turn
We'll see who wins.
with swift action.
Yeah, Jack-9, I mean,
Is this
Less than
exceedingly liberal?
less than 15 blinds with big blind ante. This feels kind of good, actually. We'd hate to limp and get shoved on, have to fold such a big hand.
Well, it doesn't feel good when you get called and shown king-queen, that's for sure. A 23.2 million chip pot. Might this heads-up match be over in a hurry? The advantage belongs to Huang Wenji, his rail. bubbling over 65% to 34%, heading to the flop. I spy a queen. I spy two of them. Trips versus queens up. And the rail knows it's near a wrap. Running 10-8, a path. Running Jack-Jack, and there's the first of the hooks.
You like the case, Jack?
One outer, but that's better than drawing dead. This would be extraordinary if 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐭 could extend play with runner, perfect. Is it to be? No! And a small eruption as MC Jungle has the needle scratched right off his record. And that man right there will improve his Triton record significantly with title number 1. Hwang Wen-ji here at his first ever Triton Festival. His second cash gets no sweeter. A main event title, the trophy, extra large in size, along with a 𝐦𝐨𝐫𝐞 Epic X watch, and of course, the $5.5 million. For Jungle, he'll have to settle for second. Title number 3 for him on hold. As you see, the $3.5 million collected for his efforts, along with the way it all shook out for our final 9.